What's up, everybody? It is I, TevinElChopo, friends call me Chop, and we are back with another review. This time we're talking about Ryan Coogler's latest film, Sinners. Sinners is the new film directed and written by Ryan Coogler, starring Michael B. Jordan. This is the fifth major film that Ryan Coogler has directed. This is also the fourth one that he's had Michael B. Jordan as the main star. And essentially it is a horror film set in the Mississippi Delta in 1932, where two twin brothers, Smoke and Stack, both played by Michael B. Jordan, come back to their hometown to open up a juke joint, aka a nightclub. Now, as the entire film takes place over the course of one day, the twin brothers come back into their hometown, rekindle their previous relationships with not only past lovers, but also family and acquaintances as well. And as they're getting situated on the opening night of their new nightclub, they are introduced to Remick, a vampire who is coming to turn everyone into vampires, basically. Now, that is just a super brief synopsis of the film. This is a no spoiler review, so you don't have to worry about me giving away too many details that wasn't given away by the promotional material of the film, as the film has many more twists and turns and genre bends than what I even anticipated by watching the trailers myself. And of course, I don't want to give those secrets out here in this video. So first things first, when talking about this film, I want to give major kudos to Ryan Coogler. Even though this is his fifth directorial film, he has definitely had major work behind him between doing the last two Black Panther movies. The first film he did was Fruitvale Station, the first Creed movie, and now here he is with his first actual horror movie, which is Sinners. And one thing I can appreciate from Ryan Coogler as a filmmaker is that he always has nothing but attention to detail in every single thing that he does with every film that he creates. He takes his time and he does research not only on the motifs that he wants in his film, but the people of the areas that's being represented as well, and the time frame of which he sets his film to. And Sinners is no exception to that. You can tell by the many nuances of how people talk to each other, the value of the US currency going around at that time, racism in the South, the influence of religion and music throughout that time frame as well, all give real subtle yet blatant motifs that help to blend the genres of not only just horror, but musical, also just a variety of other things as well. Again, don't want to give away too much in this video, but it was a well done job by Ryan Coogler himself. I saw a recent interview he did when promoting the film, talking about how this film was dedicated to his late uncle and just his appreciation for blues music. And you can tell that music is a major theme throughout the entire movie, but also there's just a sense of community throughout the entire film in many different ways that I don't necessarily want to give away here in this video. Like I said, I'm really trying to talk lightly about this film as it just came out recently in the time of recording this, but there are senses of community not only within the characters as they develop the juke joint nightclub that they have for the night, but also even with the antagonist Remick, who is the main vampire of the film, and how he's essentially trying to build his community of vampires, and just so many different tones and themes and motifs as that pertains to not only just community within like-minded people, but also communities of race as well. In terms of the performances, I think Michael B. Jordan does an amazing job playing both the twins Smoke and Stack. The best way to tell the difference between the two twins is that Smoke is the one that is wearing blue throughout the movie, while Stack is the one wearing red. Ryan Coogler's choice of color, not only for the attire of the twins, but throughout the entire movie, definitely gives off a lot of the energy in terms of what characters mean to who and what type of personalities you get from each character as well, especially when it comes to Smoke and Stack. Smoke being the more reserved twin, the one that's more high-tempered and quick to resort to violence, where Stack is the more fun-loving twin, more engaging, more energetic, more inclined to have a good time and be closer towards the people on the ground level. Now, to be clear, these characters are still twins, so these are minor differences, but overall they still act as if they're brothers. They still have similar tendencies, and they also both came from a life of crime, as they are returning to their hometown essentially as a last resort to run away from their problems that they created in Chicago with the mob. Now, one thing I want to touch on with Michael B. Jordan playing twins in this film is that I've noticed that many times when films try to do this, where you have one person playing multiple characters in the same film, it can be pretty jarring at times, especially when you have to have those two characters interacting with one another. But I will honestly say that it was done about as well well as it possibly could have been done in this film, especially with specific scenes where the two twins have to interact with each other that I personally feel like was done very well, to the point where even I as a twin had to question the interactions that I had with my twin and how it would make sense in terms of if somebody was trying to shoot our interactions and one person had to play both of us, like how would that look? And you know, a lot of nuances that I never had to consider with the film before, I considered in this film just off the strength of how well the cinematography was, with Michael B. Jordan essentially playing two roles simultaneously. Not only Michael B. Jordan, but the entire cast honestly does a great job as well, with a couple highlights for me being Miles Catton as Sammy and Delroy Lindo as Delta Slim. I think that a lot of the heart that you feel throughout the film mainly comes from those two characters and the plight that they have throughout the day. Also, Wunmi Musaku and Haley Steinfeld playing Annie and Mary, the respective love interest of both the twins played by Michael B. Jordan. They also did an amazing job in the film as well, with the character of Annie being the former lover of Smoke and their relationship being built around just loss and mournful energy. And then you also have Mary and her relationship with Stack that's pretty much built around resentment, anger, and frustration due to the past. And one thing I will also say that despite the low scale of the film, Ryan Coogler does an amazing job of setting up all the characters throughout the film so that you can truly care about them by the time we have Remick the vampire show up in the second half of the film. I think that a lesser writer and director would have made a lot more obvious moves to get a lot of the backstories pushed into our faces when it comes to a lot of these characters. But Ryan Coogler does a great job of allowing a lot of the nuances and things that we learn of these characters to happen naturally as the day progresses for them. So yes, this is a vampire horror movie, to be clear, and despite it being a quote-unquote horror movie, I will say that it is not as nearly as scary as the marketing material will want you to believe that it is. I would say it's more aligned with being a thriller slash suspense type of movie with elements of action and also slight elements of comedy done as well. The film also is a relative slow burn. So the first half of the film is setting up these characters as the twins come back into their hometown and get everything situated for the opening night of their new juke joint, rounding up all the characters that are going to be there and be also the fellow main characters for the rest of the movie. And we don't even get introduced with anything significant in terms of the vampire until around the halfway point of the film. So in that regard, I believe that the film is a lot more of a genre bend than it is a full-blown horror movie outright, especially with certain scenes that implement music throughout the film as well. Not to say that it is a musical by any real standards of the word, but it does have musical elements and musical sequences that extend for certain amounts of time in the movie, none of which were drawn out or felt unnecessary given the narrative itself. But again, if you're looking for a straight up horror movie, I don't think that this is going to be the one for you. One of the biggest comparisons that I've heard to this movie is from Dusk Till Dawn, which I can see where the comparisons come from with that, given the context of that movie and what Robert Rodriguez was able to do. But honestly, I think that while this film also bends genres similar to Dusk Till Dawn, with it eventually deviating into a vampire flick like that film did, I will say that this film is 1000% more nuanced. It has a lot more attention to detail, and the implications of everything and anything that happens throughout this film specifically weighs down a lot heavier than anything that happens in Dusk Till Dawn, to the point where if you were to watch both movies back to back, they literally feel and act like two completely different bodies of work. Even the subtle nuances of Remick, the antagonist's main vampire in the film, being Irish, and also knowing that this film is set in the early 1900s and considering how Irish people in America were treated almost as bad as African Americans around that time as well, it just gives his character a level of nuance and detail that I think a lot of people missed, and even strengthens the idea of not only him wanting community, but him seeking community within these black people at the juke joint. So yeah, overall, I thought that it was a pretty good film. I think that everything was done very well, from the acting, the directing, the compositions of shots, the cinematography, the music, the musical sequences. Everything is so detail orientated. Everything is done so purely from a place of understanding these people to the point where I feel like there could be more movies in this universe. There's so much lore surrounding these characters that I feel like you could have made multiple different movies just off the strength of what happened before this day, you know? And being able to not only develop these characters in such a way that we truly care about them, but also want to know more about them as the movie goes on. Again, it speaks to the genius of Ryan Coogler as the writer and director. So all in all, I think that Sinners is a great film. It was well directed, well written, well acted. The musical sequences are well done. The music in general is pretty good. The cinematography, everything was pretty top notch. Now, to be fair, I do have a couple minor gripes here and there about certain things that happen in the film. Specifically, there's certain moments towards the end of the film that can be considered contrived. Again, not looking to give too much detail about what happens, but there are certain moments that had me like, really? You know? And again, I don't want to give away too many exact details on what I'm talking about, but nevertheless, they were super minor complaints compared to just how much I enjoyed the film, how much I thought everything around it was done pretty well. Every sequence had purpose behind it, just a certain level of connectivity between all the characters, all the themes, and all the things that were happening around the characters during the film. And if you can or have the time, definitely be sure to support this film however you're able to support it, whether it's going to the theater at the time of it being in the theaters, or being able to even buy it, or, you know, stream it, things of that nature. This is definitely a film worth watching, especially if you're a person of color. And as people of color, we should support people like Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan, as they are the staples. Them, Jordan Peele, Lena Waithe, so many people of color coming out into the Hollywood scene and just crushing it, and we definitely have to show them some love for sure. Also, be advised that there are not one but two end credit scenes. The first end credit scene, in my opinion, is the official end of the movie. So when the credits start rolling, don't leave the theater, don't turn the movie off just yet, because the first end credit scene actually ties a bow around everything that happened in the film. And then there's the second end credit scene that's just a bonus on top of it as well. But definitely just keep that in mind so you don't miss it. But hey, these are just my opinions. Have you seen Ryan Coogler's new film, Sinners? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments below. Also, be sure to let me know what else you want me to review here on this channel. And also like the video and subscribe for more videos like this. My name is TevinElChopo. Friends call me Chop, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.